Hey, what's going on, Archon? It's another episode of KeyThoughts, my weekly discussion about what's going on inside my head with the game of KeyForge. And I'm hanging out, as always, with my guy, Lil Fuzzy. And this week, we're going to go over a couple things. First off, I just want to give a special thank you to my latest Patreon supporters. I appreciate everyone who's contributing to that and providing me an outlet to give these decks away, because it's such a burden to have so many decks. No, I'm joking, but I mean, I feel very blessed to have the opportunity to get decks at a very reasonable rate, which gives me the opportunity to create more content and share my thoughts and experiences with the game with you. So just wanted to start off by thanking my latest Patreon supporters. There is going to be a giveaway this week, which is going to be done in a different way than I have in the past. It is going to be a Would You Rather episode that has a deck giveaway, which means which deck would you rather have, and the winner will get that deck. So be sure to check in on that later this week and the beginning of next week, I think. No, this will be Sunday. This will be put out on Sunday. That is correct. And then, so I'm going to talk about my topic for today. So I apologize, my flow's a little off. I'm trying something new because I've had some of my YouTube contributors basically ask me to do things a little bit differently, and I'm going to listen to what you guys want, because what you want is what I will do. First off, I got some exciting news to talk about for the upcoming week. I'm going to kick things off with that. And then I'm going to go into the topic of this week, which is committed players versus the Wayfinder player. And then lastly, I'm going to end things off with the card of the week. I know some people have also asked that is to close out the episode, so therefore they can remember it and talk about their own thoughts on that, because they forget it by the time we get into the discussion. So first off, the news is that I am debating no longer streaming on Twitch. There is a couple reasons why I've decided this. First off is most of you are here. My following here is far greater than my following on Twitch. I'm putting out all my content here anyways, so I'm going to try doing some YouTube lives. I'm not going to abandon Twitch just yet. I'm going to do a little A/B analysis, so you will still see my live streams on Twitch on Tuesdays, and then I think on Thursdays I'm going to start now doing a Twitch live stream, YouTube live stream, and seeing how that goes for me, and seeing if maybe you guys like that more and I'm getting more people engaging. So please comment on times that you would like that to happen. My Thursday is somewhat flexible at the moment, so I'd be curious to know what people would like for that in terms of seeing something happen, or if there is another day that people like, maybe you want a weekend stream, like a Saturday morning stream even. I'm not opposed to doing that either, so let me know your thoughts. And yeah, so I'll still be doing Twitch on Tuesdays for now. And then depending on how this goes, I may move over to YouTube as my main source of streaming. I just really am enjoying the YouTube platform. I have such a good growth here, and I appreciate everyone's engagement here so much that if this is actually easier because people don't use Twitch as much, but they are on YouTube, then hey, let's just roll with that. I'm not opposed to doing that. Now on to the topic of the week, which is the committed player versus the Wayfinder, is how I am kind of breaking it down. And what this means is I'm defining this as the way you play KeyForge, and you may have kind of made an assumption based on the titles of these two players, is that the committed player is someone who finds a deck, they jam as many games as possible with that deck, and then they get to know it inside and out, and then just rock tournaments with it until some other reason comes along to try out another deck. Or maybe you have like 3 decks on the go that you're doing this with. The Wayfinder is someone who I define as plays as many decks as possible, is always playing a different deck, doesn't really commit to one deck, is getting the spice of life by trying variety and seeing what they like and what they find. And then when it comes time to tournament, you have a huge selection of things to pull off of from what you enjoyed playing. Now, I think there are pros and cons to both of these, and I also think you can fall in between these two player types. I think it's possible that you are a Wayfinder and a committed player. There's times when you're wayfinding, and there's times when you knuckle down and you commit to a deck. So I don't think it's an A or B. I think there is a little bit of both is a possibility. Now, the pro of being a committed player is obviously if you're a really big tournament player and you take things really seriously, you have the benefit of knowing a deck so well that when you go to play, especially tournaments that are long days, you have that instinct of how to play the deck. There's less thought process going into each turn that you take, each decision you're making, because you've already made those decisions so many times and you've seen the layout of these cards come together so many times that you know what will happen if you make those moves. And then on the flip side, you have the Wayfinder, which this could be a con, is that you actually don't know the inside out of a deck. You have to spend a little more time thinking, and therefore you're using more mental energy, and maybe you enjoy that process. Maybe that's something you like, is figuring things out as you go and having that discovery in game and making big plays in tournaments. Obviously you could have fatigue later on, which may be a detriment, but maybe not. Maybe you have the mental fortitude to go past that. So that is why I think that the two, like, that's the con. Now the pro of being a Wayfinder is that in a sealed, in adaptive, in all these sort of formats that exist within the game beyond just solo Archon, you may have a stronger advantage. In almost everything but solo Archon, I think you have an advantage. Because seal, you're going to understand the combination of cards faster. You're not going to have to play as much because you've gone through that practice. When you're playing adaptive, when you get your opponent's deck, you understand it. When you look at a deck list, you actually can understand a deck better because you've played things like that. That is the huge advantage to being a Wayfinder, I think. But that being said, is that you do not have that intimate relationship with a deck, knowing its inside and out and what it wants to do and how it goes really well. Like, obviously you can play 20 games with a deck and understand that. And I think a Wayfinder is someone who is logging 50 plus games with a deck a committed player. Like, you're doing 50 plus and you're doing it like, I'm going to play deck 50 times. I'm going to play the next deck 50 times. Like, you're really committing to a deck and getting those reps. I think if you're doing around the 10 to 20 mark with a deck, that still is categorized as a Wayfinder. I'm not talking a one and done sort of thing. Although doing that exercise is really beneficial, I think, as well. I've obviously been doing that because I'm playing every deck I open on stream, and I'm pretty much almost only playing on stream right now. So that means I'm playing almost a different deck every week. I have been playing some stuff regularly because I'm finding some fun decks that I'm really enjoying playing, but it's taking more for me to be pulled to a deck to want to continuously play it. Obviously in ABR League I was prepping a little bit more and playing decks a little bit more consistently, but still within that 10 to 20 range. But yeah, I definitely classify myself as a Wayfinder. Maybe I have commitment issues, who knows, but I definitely really like the idea of experiencing the variety that KeyForge provides, and I'm noticing I'm discovering a lot more, and discovery is definitely a huge part of what I like in the game of KeyForge. I mean, when I play Pokemon, my favorite part about Pokemon is catching new Pokemon and filling that Pokedex, which is essentially getting a variety, not sticking to like a set team and just like grinding it out and winning everything, which I know some people do. So I find that very interesting as well, that there is that parallel with me in other games. Likewise, I'm going to be very looking forward to Pokemon Snap at the end of this month, because it kind of is that. Just go around updating your Pokemon photography album. And yeah, so that's my thing, is the committed player versus the Wayfinder. And I think it's a very interesting archetype that exists within the game and is very unique to KeyForge, because in other games it's always like the net deck, what is the spice, you get a few options, but you just build that deck, and usually you're having to spend quite a bit of money to build that deck, so therefore once you do, you stick with it for a while. KeyForge, you don't have to do that. You can open up a new deck and play it for as much as you want, for as little as you want. So it's an interesting thing that exists within this great game that we play. Now I'm curious to know, are you a committed player? Are you a Wayfinder? So let me know in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on this topic. Do you think I'm way off with this kind of categorization? And is there an archetype that I have completely missed? Obviously falling in the middle is you're a little bit of both, and that's possible, where maybe there's some decks you'll play 50 with, but then you'll go through a period where you just Wayfind, and then you'll commit, Wayfind, commit, Wayfind. I don't know. So let me know your thoughts on that. And now let's finish things off with the card of the week. That's right, this week I'm doing a card that has put in work for me in the past couple of weeks, doing some testing with my money deck, and that is Jargoggle, aka Jar Jar Binks. This card, if you're not familiar with it, is a 2-power mutant beast creature that is elusive and has a playability. Put a card from your hand face down under Jargoggle. When it is destroyed, if it is your turn, you play the card under Jargoggle. Otherwise, you archive the card. So why do I love this card? Well, I like it because of the efficiency it provides. It does two things that I love in KeyForge: efficiency and house cheating. So there are things you can do that are really neat, which is you get to cycle more when you use it. Now, there's two thoughts of schools of thought I think that you can do with Jargoggle. There's one where you put a card under Jargoggle with the intention of it being destroyed so you can play it. Sometimes you can do that on the turn you play Jargoggle. Like for example, let's say you have a strong logos board. You play your Jargoggle, you throw a Song of the Wild underneath it. Then you use a Twin Bolt Emission, a Positron Bolt, plop it down, and destroy your Jargoggle, playing that Song of the Wild during a logos turn. Then you reap with the rest of your board, get a ton of Ember. That's one kind of way I like it, is where you can actually destroy the turn you play it with some of the direct damage that exists within logos and get the effect of that. The other way I like playing this card is actually something that I want to archive. So I put it underneath with the intention of hopefully my opponent destroys it, and it is technically kind of still archived under Jargoggle because you have the ability for it to be there, and then when you want it to go off, then you kill Jargoggle and have that card come into play. So it provides it almost like a pseudo archive, which is really nice, and if it gets destroyed, then it is actually in your archive. That's why I like it. I mean, turn one play is great because you're getting to put an extra card underneath. It's just fantastic for me in so many different ways. I think it has a lot of flexibility, and like I said, the house cheating aspect is one of my favorite parts of playing KeyForge, hence why I'm such a big Star Alliance guy, especially Worlds Collide Star Alliance. I do silly things with that house when I get the right combination of cards. So that is why Jar Jar Binks is the card of the week, because I've been using it to do some really interesting things. It provides flexibility, some interesting decisions, and a lot of shenanigans, which I'm all about. Let me know your thoughts on this week's episodes. Please do like and subscribe, and if you really enjoy what I'm doing, please become a Patreon supporter. It means the world to me, even if it's just to support. And if you want to be a part of the deck giveaways, then you can give a couple bucks and be entered into the draws each month, because I have a lot of decks to give away. All sets are going to be in the mix. I'm even thinking about doing now for my deck openings is opening all these boxes of decks, not looking at them, and putting it in a bag, and then literally having every set in the bag. And when I go to do a deck opening, I literally just grab a random deck, and we don't know what set it is until we get to it. So it's going to be the magic bag that will be for deck giveaways and such. So let me know your thoughts, and what deck would you like me to give away next week? Let's do a Twitter poll on that maybe. So and comment below if you like a specific set to be given away. And as always, again, may your Ember never be stolen and your keys forged promptly. Have a good one.